All right, great. So we're back and we made a little kick drum pattern, a little up tempo, very basic. And now, as promised, I'm going to lead you into the piano roll and we're going to try to add an instrument to this. And in this lesson, you'll learn how to use the piano roll as well as some basic musical ideas, okay? We'll get into a music theory video at a later date. You can search that video. Um, but we do have a basic music theory to help you understand how and where these notes go a little better, okay? But at the end of the day, it goes by your ear. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to start by going to my samples. If I had my own, which I do, but we're going to just use what's in here because you may not have my samples, so it'll be harder to follow along. So now I'm going to go to instruments. I'm going to look up a sound that I like. Let's see. Hmm. Okay, so let's go ahead and take this piano because I like how it sounds. Make sure it's the same length as the rest of the other patterns. I'm going to add a pattern, and like I said, we're going to make sure it's the same length. Come down here and name this piano so we know where we are. Now we're going to right click on the first dot and open piano roll. As you can see, it was open already. I must have clicked something, but it wasn't populated like this until I right clicked on the first button. First things first, if you need to see them, if it matters to you, I don't think the default version comes with the notes on the keys. You can go to LMMS, go to preferences, and right here in the general miscellaneous settings, you can go down to enable note labels in piano and make sure that's highlighted. And for now, that's all you need. You'll hit OK, and it will tell you that it won't take effect until you restart. So if you want to use that now, save everything, shut it down, and let's continue. Great. So I'm here, and this looks pretty intimidating if you don't know anything about music theory and or how to play piano or other instruments. I was one of those people. Um, but I put the time in and I studied and learned, and you can too. Okay, so first things first, what do we have here? Play button, record button, some form of playback from template or playback through MIDI, and stop, draw in, erase, highlight, automation, quantize, cut, copy, paste, disable scrolling, this thing, and jump back to the beginning of the track. And I just saw that you can change directions, like a fast forward and rewind type thing. Then you have the size of the entire project here. You can blow it up so you can see it better. Then you have quantize, and quantize locks the note to the nearest beat of that value or a portion of the beat to that value. So if I had 16th and I drew it in somewhere in the middle, it would snap to the closest 16th mark. If I had quarter note, it would snap to the nearest quarter note mark, and so forth. Okay, I'm going to leave it at quarter just to start. Last note means that the last note that I drew, all my following notes will be the same length. That can be helpful and annoying at the same time. I'm going to leave mine on quarter notes. Scale, I can choose the scale. major scale, minor scale, harmonic scale. We'll speak more about that in a later video when we get into the music theory portion of this program. And then chords. Um, We'll also talk about this a little bit in depth later, but you can learn quite a bit by using their presets. The major chord and the minor chord is where I would start if I was just beginning. And I promise you, just playing around with that and paying attention, you'll learn so much. Okay, so I'm going to jump right into it. We're going to try to make a little melody. Um, One thing you should know about this program is it's a little different from the program that I use regularly, but each one of these sections is a bar. Okay, so you have the two, three, four, but one to two is actually 4 bars in this program. Okay, so we're gonna draw out a little melody. Well, for starters, you can tell that the higher up in number it goes, the higher the sound will be. Let me hear C5. And if I wanted more bass sounds, I would go to C2, C3. My basses usually play around in this area, okay? And 808s too, somewhere between C4 and C2 based on what I'm going for. Just to give you an example. We're gonna go to C5, okay? And I'm going to do the C chord because it's easy and it's a good way to kind of remember the pattern for, let's say, a major chord, okay? So I'm going to go here. 1, 2, 3, 4. And what that should give me is really just 1 bar of music. I find that the LMMS program has a lot of glitches on the Mac, maybe not as much on the PC, but the Mac, it gives a little problem sometimes. But anyway, I should have gotten 1 bar instead of a 2 bar when I drew it out. Listen why, okay? Right? 1, 2, 3, 4, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, you heard in the music. It gave you every hit of the beginning of each one of those keys. If I drew it out to here, it would be 2 bars, and then this would look like this. So it just gave me this, but listen if I left it like that. See how the second half of that is empty? So it may not actually be a glitch. It could just be that it wants me to finish out the 2 bar pattern like I have on the beats and bassline editor, but I wanted to only do 1 at the time for an example. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to populate the second part of that 2 bar pattern. So I'm just going to keep going in a straight line. And you can use this just as a guide or a way to get started making your melodies, okay? If you don't know much about music. So I drew them all on 1 line. Now, I'm going to make sure piano is populated. I'm going to push play here. I'll lower it down for you. Okay. I'm going to modify some of these notes to try to create some kind of melody. Let's see what we have. I know that E and G make up a C chord. So I'm going to go to G because it's the easiest for me to remember, okay? Then I also know that F and G go well with the C chord. So meaning, so let me stop that and clarify. I know that C, F, and G are major chords in this scale, right? The 2, the 3, and the 6 are minor chords in this scale, and we'll go over that at a later date. But for now, I'd like for you to pay attention and focus on this. Um, a chord goes root note, and I'm going to count up 4 semitones. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's E. Then I'm going to count up 3 semitones. 1, 2, 3. So our C chord will be C, E, and G. Okay, so I counted up 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I counted up 3. 1, 2, 3. That's a major chord. If I want to do a C minor chord, I would just do that same thing in reverse, where I would go C, 1, 2, 3, which is a D sharp or E flat, then 1, 2, 3, 4. So the G would stay the same, but the E will turn into a E flat or a D sharp, okay? And we'll talk more about that. I just want to give you an idea of something that you can use as a tool to remember where things go. But for me, I'm using just basic things that I've learned about where the notes go and how to match them up, okay? Major chord, you can always follow this pattern. Okay, so I have C, G, and F. Let's hear what we have so far. Okay, I could just do that again. Or I can match the same chords and put them in a different order and even add something, because I know E works, but let's see if I like how E sounds in this place. I may want to put this one on E and switch these two. So let's see what I have. Okay, not too crazy about it. So what if I brought this down to E and put this up to G? Let's hear what I have. Okay, like I said before, maybe this needs to go there. And I don't know if I'm feeling this on E. So let me see if I could do this. We could listen to the piano by itself. Okay, this sounds a little funky to me, so I'm going to bring it down to D, because I know that's in the scale. I could work with that. Let's hear it with the whole beat. Okay, then I would just left click, left click, left click, left click, and let's hear what I have. Great. So you see, it wasn't really that difficult to come up with the melody once I had a very basic idea of music theory, chords and scale, and those words make it sound way more difficult than it really is. Um, I mean, don't get me wrong, there's a lot to learning music, and playing music is even more difficult, but we're drawing them in on the computer. So if we just knew the basic structure, we can do things over and over and over until we find something we like. We're not playing live, right? So this is the beauty of using a program like this and understanding basic music theory. There's so many things I can do with this. Let me just play with this a little bit to give you some ideas, and then we'll end this video and we'll pick back up and I'll show you how to make it more interesting and elaborate, okay? So first I'm going to pull this back. Oops, let me see. I have to change my quantized note because it won't let me make this shorter because I have it set to quarters. I'm going to do an eighth, which will give me half, and I'm going to put another one there. Oops, let me change this to 1/8 too. Good. Then I'm going to go to this one, change that. I'll go to this one, change that. I'll go to this one and add that. So let's hear what we have now. Right? Instantly made it a little bit more interesting. If I really wanted to, I could take this here and move that somewhere. Let's hear what we have now. Right? And if I really, really wanted to bring some real flavor to this, I would probably delete a couple of these. So let me see what I have. Okay, and that's just basic structures that I'm just moving around, taking out some, adding, lengthening notes, shortening notes to get some more bounce and feel. We haven't even started to use the audio processor yet. And please take a look at the other video where we do go over audio processing because it gets crazy. It's beautiful, right? All these different tools you have to make and manipulate sound. Anyway, let me end this video here. I hope that was very helpful. I hope it wasn't confusing. Leave me a couple comments. Let me know what you think, what I can go over, how I can make this a little clearer to you. We all learn differently, and I understand that. I was on this path for a long time because I had no teachers, no one to show me, and I really went into it and spent some time, paid, took some classes, learned from some of the best in the industry. So now I'm ready to pass on some of my information and knowledge to you. Thank you so much again. Please subscribe and check out the other videos. Peace.